Welcome to your class. This is Matrix 301. In today's class, we're going to be focusing on creating a CMA. We're also going to be talking about statistics. We're going to go ahead and move into miamirealtor.com. Now from here, we're going to access information on how to get to our MLS. So we're going to scroll down to the middle of the page. We're going to give that Miami Gateway a little click. That's going to give you access to all of your programs and your services. And before we jump into Matrix, you do have a survey up at the top. This is a member notification. So whenever you see these, be sure to give them a little click. You can access them by clicking Show More. Now, this is going to be the 2023 Miami International Survey. Take a second to click on here. It is going to take you about 5 minutes. Let's prove we're still the top global market. So take a second after class to fill this out, please. As we move through here, the next section we're going to jump into is directly into the Matrix system. So I'm going to give this a little click, and that's going to give me access to our dashboard. Now, between Matrix 101 and 201, we do cover some of the widgets that are available on our dashboard. In today's class, we're going to be working on some of the tabs that are available up at the top. So for example, in Matrix 301, we're going to be doing a little bit of a deep dive into statistics. We're also going to move into our search, RE1, RE2, and we will be researching property. Now from here, what I want to do today is I want to work in the section of Coral Gables. So as I work through the section of Coral Gables, I want to have a good idea of my market. Aside from that, I want to teach you how to create a CMA. Now, if I have time, I'd like to teach you how to create a CMA using multiple programs. That includes IMAP. The other one is, of course, going to be within Matrix, but you have two different CMA styles that you can create. You can create it as a report, or you can also create it as a presentational report, depending on the type of customer that you're looking for. So within the chat, I have a question for you. Have you ever created a CMA before? If you have, put in yes. If you have not, put in no inside of the chat. All right, so it looks like we have a mixed bag. We have some no's, we have some yeses. I love the not yets. So we are going to be practicing that. We're also going to be researching the property. Now, sometimes you'll have access to the pictures, right, that you can find in the MLS. Sometimes you will not. Sometimes you need to set foot in the house. So my first step is going to be, let me research my property. So how do I research a property to see if it's inside of the MLS? Pick the property type. 1210 Pizarro is a single family home. So as I did, I went into search and I clicked on RE1, RE2. Now from here, the section that I'm going to check off to find a specific property is going to be in the middle of my board. Where it says street number, street direction, and street name, this is where you can look up a particular property. Now, if it's been listed within the 10 years or the last 10 years, it'll be available in Matrix. If not, then we need to search elsewhere. So I'm going to look up 1210. So far, I have 9 matches. And I'm going to put in the rest of the address. Pizarro. I'm not going to put street or Ave or anything like that. I now have 0 matches. Now, one of the things I need to do is I need to make sure that none of my statuses are checked off. Why? Because then it's going to be looking for active property. And as we can see at this time, I have 0 matches. Now, why did I want to pick a particular property that's not going to have any matches? Because I can show you how to search. And if it's there, you can do your research. But if it's not, I need to also help you in what that second step could be. So my recommendation to you is use a tax roll to find that information. Why? Because when you do a CMA, you're going to need things like the size, the bedrooms, the baths, stuff like that. So I can move my mouse up and I can take a little click onto IMAP. So we're verifying the property is not listed. I got to go to my tax roll. I think IMAP is a great option. So it's going to open up my IMAP system. As you can see, I was, doing a little research before we started. And this is what your IMAP system looks like. So here you have a tax search, an MLS search, a foreclosure search. Why I like IMAP, or one of the reasons I like IMAP. You see where it says search area? I can click on this drop down. I have all of the counties in Florida. So that's one of the reasons I like it. The other reason is I can take where it says property address and I can plug in that address. So we're going to go ahead and plug that in again. Scroll down and click on Start Search. Now, if this address is available, it'll populate for me. We got to make sure that we added it in correctly. And my recommendation is stay away from the street, Ave, road, etc. Just put in the address, right? No directionals. Now from here, there's also a lot of great info that you can verify for IMAP. Now you can verify the current owners. Why is that important? If I have the presentation, if I have a listing, our decision makers need to be there. So we need to verify that these people are going to be part of that meeting, for example. I also can verify if those owners live at that address. If it is an additional property that they purchased, that changes up my conversation. So here I can verify property address. This is what we're searching for. But we also have a tax mailing address. If the tax mailing address is different from the property address, they live in the tax mailing address. This is the same address, so we know owner occupied, right? That property is owner occupied. What other information do I need to write down? As I move through here, I need the size. So I do know the land use, single family. The property is a residential single family home. It is on a lot, so we need this square feet, 5,250 square feet. I'm going to jot that down. I also want to know what subdivision it's in. It's in Coral Gables, Granada Section Rev. And as I move through here, you also have township block, latitude, longitude, the legal description, all great information when you are inputting a listing into the MLS. As I move through here, I also have value information. Some of that important information could include if this sector is or this property is in a special taxing district, or what the last taxes were. So I don't have the full taxes for 2023 yet, but I have last year's listed. As I move through here, we also have our sales information. Building info. I need this too. I need the 3 bedrooms, 2 bath description of the house. So I'm going to jot that down. And then I need to know how big it is when it comes to living area. So living area is inside the house under AC. So I'm going to jot down that number, 1,424. So far we know square feet, 5,250, living area, 1,424. It's a 3-2. And now we're ready to start to analyze. If I'm already here and we're inside of IMAP, I want to show you that you can pull the beginning of your comparables right inside of IMAP. And that's going to be on the right-hand side of this page. Up at the top, it says property tax. That's where we're currently at. We're going to move down to where it says find comparables. I'm going to give that a little click. And from here, we're going to see if we have any properties that are available. All right, so from here, look how neat all of our information is nice and placed for us. Up at the top, this is our subject property information. We can also see last sales date, 85,000. Last sales, price, 85,000. Last sales date, 1984. So yes, it makes sense why this property was not listed in the MLS. How amazing would that be? That you can buy a beautiful Coral Gables home for 85,000. As we move through here, you also have some great information. You have your market value, your assessed value. You also have your total area, living area, bedrooms, baths. Year built is here, how many stories, if there's a pool, and if there's a garage. They've gone ahead and they've taken all of that important subject information, got it all nice and neat for you. Now, below that, you have projected sales price. You have an estimated range based on value ratio. You also have an estimated range based on price per square feet. When you are looking at this, we are not looking at that top range. Okay, so the top range is based on value ratio. Now, this is up here. And this is based on what the county has given that value of that property. That's the value that's used to tax the homeowner. So we're going to be looking at the range towards the bottom, 595, 595,700 all the way through 1,000,002. You have your statistics about comparable properties that the system has pulled for you. And then you even have an explanation as of to why the properties were pulled. Now, this is where information may differ, and I want you to take some notes on this. Either you can follow me along, or I'm going to try my best to submit this recording so that you guys can rewatch it on our YouTube channel. Now, where it says comparison criteria, take a second and click on the drop-down arrow. You're going to change this from initially the system wants to compare houses that are 50% smaller, 50% bigger than one another. We want to move that to 20%. You also want to do the same for living. And then when it comes to located within, let's try first to squeeze into the same subdivision. And then the last piece, we're going to do sold in the last 3 months. Then I have a hack for you. You want to take a second and you want to click on set as a default. When you do this, that means that you have great comparison criteria that you can get started with. This will allow you to go from matrix into any active property. So for example, search, well, we can do our recent searches and just pull a list. Each of your properties, if you open them up, are assigned to IMAP. You can click on that little eye. It'll take you right into the product page. We already know about where find comparables are. We're already nice and set when it comes to our comparison criteria. And then towards the bottom, the system's going to give you comparable properties that it's pulled. Now, on the right-hand side, notice that the system wants to give you it based on order by overall similarity. As I move through here, I have 8 comparables, which is fantastic. If I want to get a little tighter when it comes to size, you can. And if you want to update that information to also include the bedrooms, right? You can do plus or minus 1 bedroom, bathroom, waterfront, pool, right? So from here, let's see if I can get any closer in size. I'm going to do plus or minus 10%, see what I get. Update criteria. I updated my criteria, but I did not set it as a default. So I got a little closer in size. So I know I'm comparing properties based on similarity. I'm in the same subdivision, and these are fresh comps because they sold in the last 3 months. I now have less property that's available, but they're more similar, right? And then from here, I want you to learn another little tip. R is for realtor. So these properties, 1, 2, and 3, have been sold by an agent. You can see that the last one has not. Now, sometimes when a property is not sold by a realtor, it could have been maybe a foreclosure, a short sale, an interfamily. You can click on it to research, but most of the time they tend to sell lower than other properties. So we can see that we have our average. Well, this one's a little bit more expensive, but we got 1,005,000, 1,002,000, 1,125,000. Here we got 740, and this is really throwing off my my median price. So I'm going to, well, my average price. So I'm going to uncheck it. It's going to be grayed out. And as I move back up, I'm going to have a tighter projected price. And now I can begin to formulate that comp. We're from 1,167,600 to 1,411,100. Okay. Now, did you guys like the process of IMAP? Good. Now, let's say we want to share this with a customer. If we want to share this with a customer, on the right-hand side, you have a few ways that you can do this. You can email this page. So when you click on here, you can pop in your customer's info, put in a subject, put in your message, and then before you send this out, check off send CC to myself. Now it does have a note. If your recipient does not receive this message in a few minutes, they may have to check their spam or their junk folder, and they will be receiving the email from emails@propertykey.com. So you can send it this way, send email. You will receive a copy, but I'll show you the preferred method of most agents. Most agents like to use IMAP as either an addition to different ways that they run the CMA. Most agents will run it 2 or 3 different programs to give them a good range based on price. Or let me circle back. Instead of emailing this page directly from IMAP, they like this. I like this too. Save it as a PDF. It will download. I'm going to open this up, make sure that you can see it. You can. And then once you download this information, here's your page. Right? 2023. Save. Then I could email this directly. And it doesn't come from the IMAP system. It comes from my email. And it's the beginning of a conversation. Now, love this. But we're missing some things. So from here, the only thing we are comparing is what actually sold. So technically, is that the true number? Yes. But I don't see what our competition is in the current market. Why? I don't have any actives here. I also have a range. So as I move through here, here's our range. And within this range, I don't see the inside of these houses. So I'm missing the interior. And I don't have what's active in the market. So this is a good way to begin, but I would also double this up with searching what I have available in Matrix. Now, again, I still don't have the pictures of this property. So even as I move into Matrix to see pictures of what's currently available, for me to give the best and true CMA, you as an agent need to enter that house. And this is a great way for you to get your foot in the door and meet one-on-one with those potential customers to help cultivate a relationship and build trust. Either way, we've got a range though. So I'm going to click on the X and we'll come back to this. All right, I am now inside of Matrix. So I'm going to click on search RE1, RE2 because I have a single family home. So my first plan of action is to search around our subject property in the same way that IMAP did it for us. So to replicate that inside of Matrix, you see where it says map search within 0.25 of a mile. Here, you're going to put in that subject property, 1210 Pizarro Street. Okay, and I misspelled it, as you can see, and it still pulled it up for me. So the system's already 1210 Pizarro Street in Coral Gables. Is this what you meant? I'm going to click on it. It's a yes. And then it says map area selected. When this is red, that's that the system has captured it and it's starting to search for active property. If I move through here, the system shows me that I already have 4. But now we need to start putting in other stats. So if I was doing a CMA, let me know in the chat, what are some additional statuses that you're going to check off? So I know that I'm going to check off an active property, right? We know that we need closed. Yes, we are going to need the bedrooms and the baths. Nelsie, give us active with contract pending. Yes, ma'am. If we're doing pending, which are properties that are currently under contract, right? You're also going to do active with contract. And we've got sold, which is closed. Now there's an additional one, if anybody can guess it, and it's sometimes that agents will include it. One more. So that last status, that is optional. Yes, it is the expired. So I'm going to check off expired. And we're going to talk about why they may put it in check off expired. So most of the time a property will expire because it was listed too high. That price was too high, right? So they'll kind of show their customer, listen, there is other individuals in your same market who tried to sell at this price. It was overpriced, and look what happens, right? We flew too close to the sun. You have other agents that pending is optional for them. And I'll explain to you why. When a property goes active and then the status changes to pending, it is not a mandatory field to put in the sales price, right? So it was listed at X. Negotiations happened. They both agreed on a price as the sales price. That doesn't necessarily have to be inputted. So you don't really see that change of price in some cases. Why? Well, because it could fall through, right? So we're going to check off all of these. I think this is good. And then we're going to start checking off other filters so that we can search for properties that are similar. So we're going to check off single family. We're going to check off type of property, single family. On the bottom, we have the size of the property. So even more important to me than bedrooms and baths is size. So from here, we're going to do the square foot living area. And we're also going to do the property square feet. So property square feet, 20% difference. It was 5,250 something. 20% is around 1,000 square feet. So we'll do like 4,200 through, I guess, 62. And then we're going to scroll down. We have 8 matches. And then we can do the same thing for a square foot living area. And our square foot living area was 1424. So one of your options that you could do is you could take 1424 and just remove that 20% from that, which is around 300 square feet. So then you can take 1424 and take out 300 square feet. So you can start your range at 1,120. And then you can go as big plus another 300, 1,724. So we'll go back in and we'll add in the square feet, 1,120 till 1,724 is around that range. I'm going to scroll through here and I have 6 matches that are very similar in size. They're all within 0.25, a quarter of a mile of this property. Let's see what we have available. I'm going to click on results. Can you leave the YouTube channel link, please? Yes, Melissa, of course. I always call the agent to have an idea of a contract price. Nelsie, that's a great idea. What's canceled status and do include it? So the canceled status is that the owner of the property has canceled the listing. So it's no longer available on the MLS. I personally do not include the canceled. You're welcome, Melissa. All right, so from here, we've got 2 active properties and we've got 4 closed sales. Now, let me move back into the criteria really quick. Here you have the closed. So remember when we were doing on IMAP, either 3 months, you can also change it to 6 months. Here, you automatically have 180 days. So you're looking at 6 months. If you want to change that, you can click on here and you could change it to 90 days, right? For fresher comparables. I have 3 now. And let me see for my closed, expired, another 90. And we have 3, right? So we don't have as many comparables, but they're a little bit fresher when it comes to a comp. And you can always go down maybe half a mile, see what that looks like. And now we have 11. So let's click on results. Okay, so these are the properties that are around this sector. Now, remember when we were looking at our subdivision, we can put our subdivision complex information together. In IMAP, it was Coral Gables, Granada, Sec. So there's a few of these that are not in the same subdivision. Now, let's take a look at these, but they are very similar to where our property is located. So this is why it's so fantastic to be able to be aware or to work a specific farming area. You just know your property. And we are really doing a blind CMA here because I haven't seen my subject. Another way that you can find out information, look at one of your properties, click on the MLS number, and learn to use your map options. So you have a section here that says map. You can give that a little click, and that's going to give you some great detail about the property. On our broader spectrum, agent single line, you can check all of them off, right? And take a look at where they're located on the map. Determine if maybe some of these properties are too far, right? Maybe this one is right on that border where I may want to uncheck it. So these are different ways that you can work your information. Let me click on results. So what I did was from this sector, I went ahead and I clicked on the MLS number and we moved into viewing our properties in the map. And now I'm opening up my map. So I want insight from you guys. Do you see the map version? Now, some of the things that I showed you was that you're able to see those properties, right? Take a look at the homes in the area. You also have a map view. Here's Pizarro. You also have layers, and these are some of the layers that I showed you. You've got neighborhood. So you can see exactly where these other properties are. You also have inside of your boundaries, another good one was that flood zone that I spoke about. Here's our property. Is your customer's property in a flood zone? You also have, let's take a look at the schools, right? Elementary. I did elementary last time. Let's do middle. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can see that boundary. All right, so it's Ponce de Leon Middle School for this little sector. So I want you guys to just get familiar with these. Here's your Google Street View, so you have an overview of those properties in the area as well. Okay, let me close this out. All right, now how do I get back to my results? Agent single line. From here, I'm going to remove any of the properties that are outside of my subdivision. So I've got these. I'm going to remove these from here. And how do I do that? If you want to check this off and remove it, you click on discard. Now, these are the properties that I want to work with. I'm just going to take a quick peek into them. Okay, lovely property. Looks like it's been nice and modern furniture inside. Is this staged? They just added these in. It might be like digitally staged. All right, let's look into the second one. And we're looking for the interior. The third. Typical Coral Gables home. the 4th. Okay. Six. And that's 7th property. I got nothing here. Okay. So number 2, I'm going to remove number 2. Number 4, I mean, number 7, I really have very little that I can see within this home. And these are also on the lower side regarding pricing. I think I can add this one in. All right, so these 2 I'm also going to remove. So I'm going to take a second, click on discard. And now I'm working with a few closed properties, one that is active. I don't have anything currently pending. Here are my sales prices. This could be throwing off my number as well. This is also a 2-1 and on the lower end compared to all the other properties, right? So I'm also going to remove this one. All right. So here I have my 4 properties. I feel that they're pretty close in line, similar in how they look. And now I'm ready to go ahead and select these properties and move them into a comparable. So I'm going to click on Actions. And within Actions, you have a section that says CMA. So I like to begin my CMA process through the search. Once I've located the property that I want to begin to analyze, then I'm going to move into CMA. This is going to bring me right into the CMA widget. This has auto saved it for 8:14 at 10:44, the second that I begin to pull this up. Now, before I move forward with this search, this is already saved. I'll go ahead and add in my customer's information in English. And for the subject or the description, I'll go ahead and put in the subject property. And then I'm going to also go ahead and give this a little click to save this. I'm going to move forward with the CMA, but I want to show you another aspect. So I'm going to click on My Matrix Dashboard. Everything that you work on lives under My Matrix. So under My Matrix, you also have My CMA. When you click on My CMA, you'll have access to those works that you've been working on. You have your description, your contact name, the type of CMA that you created it, when you created it, and the last time you modified it. From here, I want to let you know that the system will hold onto your CMA for 180 days. And you can also start the process from My Matrix, My CMA. You'll go ahead and click on the plus sign that says plus, start a new CMA. And from here, you'll move through the section. Either way, when I click here, comparables, I have to go ahead and add them from the MLS. I like to go from My Matrix. Well, I like to go from the search. Once I have my search completed, edit CMA. Here's the difference. I click on my view comparables and they're already here. Okay, so that's just the way that I like to do it from the search, but I want you guys to know you can do it both ways. You'll end up at the same place. From here, all I've done so far together was I named it, I assigned it to a customer, and I gave it a language. Then what we're going to do is we're going to move through each tab at the top from start to pages, from pages to subject as we move through until we're finished. The next section is pages. When you guys click pages, you may or may not have information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to add it in. I'm going to go ahead and check everything that I have. And I'm going to click on the X to remove it. And when you guys open this, you may not have my custom pages because it'll populate to available pages once you've managed them. And completely optional to use them, but it's a way that you can pop in additional pages into this report without having to, create it and then download it and then etc. But it has to be a PDF. So clicking on Manage Custom Report, I have two that are up here, so I'm going to delete them out. And I'm going to show you how to add one in. Choose File. Again, it has to be a PDF. Today we did the 1012 Pizarro and IMAP, so I want to add that to this CMA. Clicking on Open. And then I want to click on Upload. I want to remove the header because it doesn't look nice on the IMAP. And then I want to save. So now it'll be available for me to use. What other custom pages can you add? Maybe testimonials, marketing details, etc. From here, I'm going to open up Cover. You have a little plus sign, and it'll show me I have two options. I'm going to click Cover, Sheet with a Photo. The next one is Subject and Adjustments with Summary List and Price Adjustments. I like the Summary List. Price Adjustments works very well if the comparables that you found, for example, all have different bedrooms. So you found properties that have 3 bedrooms, that have 2 bedrooms, and you need to adjust for price or size or etc. We learn about that in a class called CMA Workshop. If you're interested in taking that, it's very, very good. And then we have comparables here. From this list, you have list price and sales price chart, CMA brief, pro report, and pricing recommendations. From here, I like the pro report because it includes list price and sales price charts, and it includes the information, the CMA brief. So I'm going to do pro report, and then we have to give our recommendation. So I'm going to do pricing recommendation. Then I'm going to open up my map and click on CMA map. I'm going to move the map up one so they can see exactly which comps I chose on a map before I give them my recommendation after my reporting. And then I'm going to open up static. So static are different talking points that you want to make sure that you include. Now, these are completely optional and the ones that you want to pick. So I'm going to pick a few of them. I like activity versus timing. I also like effects of overpricing, where my commission goes. I'll wait on that. What it takes to show, steps to a positive showing, where my commission goes, and then my guarantee to you. So I'll do these in place. If you want to save this, I'm all about a good hack. Go to the bottom and click on Set as a Default. This means anytime you create this presentation, these pages will be laid out for you already. Now, it's not to say you can't add one of these in. You can always come back and add whatever you'd like. So for example, I want to add 1210 Pizarro Street, my IMAP comparable, and I'm going to push that up underneath my CMA map. Any questions so far? Do we feel good? So far, we've done research on a property inside of IMAP. We also did a comp for it. We did a search for comparables inside of Matrix, and we loaded up into our CMA widget inside of Matrix. If you feel good, put yes in the chat. From here, I'm going to move into my next section, which is subjects. I'm going to click on subjects. All right, Melissa feels good. That's great. There is 3 ways that we can add in a property. Nelsie, hopefully we have time to see stats. Yes, ma'am. I'm hoping that you can get some information on those stats. Yes, yes. So here we have the subject. You have 3 different ways that you can input that information. You have type in the subject property, you have enter a cross property, and you have search for a cross property listing to autofill. Now, if your property is on the MLS, pretty simple. You can enter the MLS number and click on fill and it'll auto-populate. The second one, also pretty easy. You click on this link and you search the property. Where do you search the property? In the same place I showed you, street number, street direction, street name. Now, we don't have the property on the MLS, and that means we need to add it in manually. So I'm going to click on back, and we're going to type in the subject property manually. I like to show you, I guess, is that the worst case scenario? I guess it would be, but I also want to show you that it's not that hard. So street number, we've got this, 1210 Pizarro Street, and this will happen anytime a property is not on the MLS. So let's remove this and put it under street name. Paste. City of Miami. I'm sorry. City of Coral Gables. We've got our zip code, our bath total, beds, full baths, half baths, pool, stories. We've got our square feet, days on market, year built. We do have the information on IMAP. And then as I move through here, you can add an image. So what could you do to get that image if you wanted to drive by the home? If I was going to do a CMA and that's my area, I'm just going to select the property from my computer. But yes, you can browse, load the picture, and then any comments that you have for the seller, you can put that right in here, and then your map location. Okay, so my map location is not available. And if I don't input my map location, it won't populate under maps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to locate it. And how do I locate it? I just pop in the address. Pizarro, Coral Gables, Florida, 33134. Locate. The system found it. There it is. Done. And here's my latitude, longitude. So worst case scenario was not that bad. Moving into cover. All right. So from here, we have our cover image, our signature, and agent information has been populated. We did this in Matrix 101, and this is the contact information for my customer. We can continue to add in all of the details and then move into comparables. Now we started with our search, so all of our comps are here, and here's our subject property. So the system has pulled it, and it's given it the information that we've typed in. But we also want to notice that it doesn't have an MLS number because it hasn't been listed in quite some time. Then we're going to move into maps. Once you check off maps, then we can see here's your subject property and here's all the other properties that you've pulled in the area that are available here. Adjustments. Here's that sector that we were talking about. How you can adjust for bedrooms and baths, but it's already giving you the low, median, and average price in the area. And we also have our higher price point. Moving into pricing. So when it comes to pricing, now you have it side by side, the comparable. Okay, so you have it low, median, average, and on the high end. And this is pulling 4 properties. All right. Where would I put in that range? Where it says suggested list price. So it says here, enter the price or price range that should appear in the CMA. Now, additional verbiage is going to come with this range or price that you put in. And then as you move through here, here's another sector where you can add in any additional notes that you have for the seller. You have up to 1,000 that you can put in. All right, so from here, I'm going to go ahead and put in all right, so I'm going to go ahead and add in my range. And then once I see that property, then we can adjust it to get that range a little tighter. Here we have our average. Here we have it on the high end. I still haven't seen the home. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a suggested list price. This is enough to, I'm hoping I can submit it to my customer. We can discuss it. We can discuss our numbers and then move into stepping foot into that home, which is so important. Moving into finish, and as we've been finishing, the system is automatically saving your information. Now I want to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to click on View CMA. That's going to open up the information for you. And here you have it. This is 17 pages. Do you have to use all of them? No. But up at the top, this is an opinion of value or comparative market analysis and should not be considered an appraisal, right? So as I move through here, this is researched and prepared by you, prepared for your customer on that date, your subject information. It is customized with your signature. And we also have the summary of comparable listings. So up at the top, you have those banners that we created in 101. You have your active and closed properties. Towards the bottom, it'll give you that average price point, bedrooms, bath information, and some information regarding days on market. So it's a great overview of what you're going to be comparing. Now, the pro report, one of the reasons I like it is that I'll give it at least a picture of each of the properties that you're comparing. They'll have some good data on there. And of course, if they have any upgrades, they will most probably be highlighted in some of the remarks. So it's a great way to review what's on the market. Here's you have your closed properties as well. Of course, if you had anything pending, etc., you'll also receive those. You also have it in a graph form where we have that active property. We have the closed properties for and their price points on a graph. Here we have those average price, median price, and maximum price points with the properties that we used, and the map layout where the subject is and which ones we have gone ahead and compared. Here's our IMAP with our additional ranges that are available and the properties that were pulled. We have our pricing recommendation, and here's our range, but we also have this additional verbiage that the system put in for you. And here we have some of those additional pages. So activity versus timing. For those of you who run into a customer who wants to, I guess, quote unquote, see how the market goes, and they'll go ahead and they'll list their property above market value. Now, what happens is they can do that, but the highlight of that listing is going to be within the first 2-3 weeks where they get most exposure. It's new, it's just hitting the market. People who are interested in purchasing in that area have their eyes out on properties being listed, and you have priced it very, very high. This is, of course, just an example. And then later on, you don't get, I guess, the traction that you were looking for, and they decide to list it or lower the price a few weeks later. That could impact, right, the days on the market when it comes to selling that property. So as we move through here, we have another page. These are the effects of overpricing. Some of the information and pages that you can choose from are going to have kind of similar information. You just need to be able to pick the ones that you feel are best when you're explaining and speaking to your customer, when you're setting up their expectations. What it takes to show. This page describes what it takes to show the property of the customer. So you need to schedule the showings. It's much more private. You'll need contact information. People are going to be previewing the property. You have timing, special instructions, unscheduled appointments, the actual showing. This will remind you of all of those questions that you need to ask. And then as I move through here, steps to a positive showings. These are small repairs that are part of that process, kind of getting it ready for showing, getting it ready for the market, and suggestions on your behalf on getting it ready for picture day. And then we have, where does the commission go? So you as the listing agent, you need to collect commission. So you're collecting it for yourself that you then share with your listing broker. And then us as a company, we're going to go ahead and share that with the selling agent, who also shares it with the selling broker. And as we move through the last page, we have my guarantee to you. And this is a description of how it's going to be working with you. And then they can decide to sign and date the bottom. Now, is this a listing agreement? No, but any kind of signature in the positive direction of a possible listing, I think, is good for everyone. Up at the top, you can download this information and you can use this as a possible presentation for a customer. Did you guys like this? Let me click on the X. Did you guys like the presentation? Let me see. We've got a few yeses. Good, good. So Dominique has a question. For the suggested list price, how do you determine it? You looked at the price point of the other properties in the area, and you are going to put a range or a specific price based on the properties that you're looking at. Now, I created a range because I still haven't seen the interior of the home, but Dominique, yes, a CMA is more of an art form than a science, and we are not appraisers. So our job is to get as close as we can to the price of that property. All right, another, yes, but I need to practice it again. Of course. Is there a fee for listing on the MLS? Well, Alexandra, you, as a realtor, you pay your dues. So I can't say it's free because you do have a membership. Um, and that's how you list a property on the MLS. So for you to be able to do that, you need to have a license and you need to have a membership and you need to be part of a brokerage. So I would say, yeah. An additional fee? No. It's included. Yep, yep. All right. The next option I want to show you. What if you don't need a full presentation? What if I need numbers? I want to show you another tip. Where it says comparables, well, here's another one. You can go backwards and you can go forward. So let's say I got my range and then I'm going to go back into my subject and I need to make a change here. I can, or I can go into comparables and I can decide, let me click these open. I want to remove some stuff or I want to go back into the MLS and add. You can. But I want to show you another tip. You can select your comps. You can click on print. You can scroll down And you've got two awesome comparables that you could do. It's called the CMA one-line summary report, and it's called the 3-up comparison. And from here, you can print to PDF. And let me show you these. So here I've got my my 3 lines, right? These are the agent single line information. But on this page, look, I got everything that I need. I got my active properties, I've got my ranges, I've got my closed properties, and I've got my high, low, medium. Grand totals, here's my average, price per square feet, days on market, original price, listing price, sales price in the area based on my comps. And then when I'm looking at property with my customer, here's your 3-up. So as you're comparing, you got them side by side, and that's going to help with catching small things that you might have missed when you have to look at a whole page that way. You've got your address, your MLS, your list price, your days on market. You've got your bedrooms, your bath, design information, some of the description of that property, and you can compare them. So you may like these options more than the presentation based on who you're speaking to, because what if I don't need a full presentation and I just need numbers because I have a different relationship with that seller and I need easy peasy, and that's their style. So it depends on your customer. From here, I don't need one, but maybe 2 through 4. Download. And I can call it 3-up, or we'll see CMA. Save. And maybe that's your style that you prefer. Did you guys like these? We can do it one more time. So I'm going to close out and I'm going to go back to my CMA of comparables. What I did was I checked these off. I clicked print. I scrolled to the bottom, and then where it says CMA one-line summary, hard press Control or Command on your keyboard, and then check off C-up comparison, and then print to PDF. And this is another style. These are 2 other styles that you can use, or you can use a combination of all 3, right? It's the same information, you're just giving it in a different format. And I saw some agents really enjoyed this because they didn't need the full presentation in some examples. Another tip, you do not have to get all the way into this CMA. So I'm going to go back to CMA comparables, all the way up here to get to those reports. So for example, search RE1, RE2, my recent searches, let's say, I think it was these 6. All right. So these aren't the comps that I was using, but I want to show you the feature. So let's say we ran through these, we've got our perfect comps, and instead of clicking these off and then clicking CMA to run through the full CMA process, the other option is print, and you have those here too. CMA one line, 3-up comparison, print to PDF. So you've got those details. All right, so that's another way that you can create your PDF, another way that you can create your CMA. You can click on that drop down, or again, you can combine all of it. Mr. Seller or Mr. Buyer, I've ran these through multiple programs. I used our multiple listing service. I also used a tax roll. I used IMAP. Some agents like to pull the information directly from RPR so that they're able to present multiple figures so that they can determine a range of price. Okay. All right. So I hope that you feel good, or at least begin or are beginning to feel good with creating the CMA. My homework that I leave you is create one, do a CMA. Either start with your home, right? You are familiar with your property. Start with that address and go through the process of creating a CMA for yourself so that you can practice an address. Now, I also wanted to talk to you about some statistics. So you can find these statistics. They're available up at the top where it says stats. You can click on this and you can begin to create statistics for a consumer or for yourself to get comfortable with an area. Now on the top, you have presets and you also have customize. So presets are the system presets that the system has already created for you. So this is for a member who was curious in learning about these statistics. You have average days versus listing price median. I love this one. It gives you so much information in one line. And then once you select it, you just have to determine what do you want to see. So for example, we're working with single family homes in Coral Gables. So I'm going to click on single family. I'm going to go to my city. I'm going to locate the city of Coral Gables. And I was really looking at properties with 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. So I want to know more or less the average days on market versus list price median and how it's changed. So I'm going to click on generate at the bottom. This is going to give me the graph. So in the green, we've got the days to sell median, and then in the blue, we've got the list price median. So we can see how it has climbed upward, and we are taking less and less time to sell these properties. Some of you may love a graph, and towards the bottom, it'll give you the time frame. You're looking at January 2018 through 2023. And if you'd like, you can print this. You can also email this. I like the data, so I like to move from chart to data. From here, I'm looking at January 2018. We have the days to sell median, 49 days, and we have our list price median on the right-hand side. This is for 3-2 in Coral Gables. And as we move through here, right, you're looking at our median here, July 2023, 22 days, $1.5 million for the average. Now, if I want to export this as a CSV, I can. Of course, you can also print and email. Let's do another one. Let's move into historic count of active listings. So I already have my data in place. If I wanted to change my data, you can click on search, but I think I'm okay with single family 3-2 in Coral Gables. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to generate that information. And here is my graph. And I can click on data and I have access to these statistics. So how many properties were listed during that month? So as I move through here, we have 38 in January, 38 in February, 34 in March as I move through this data. Now, you can maybe highlight the months where you see more properties were listed. So here towards the end of the year, we had some higher numbers. And here you have that info, and then you can export to CSV. So it's not to say they were listed on that day, right? It just means these are the properties that had the months that had an active listing. It could have taken a little longer to sell. So if it was still active in February, even though it was listed in January, it would still come through. All right, moving into historic sales by year. Scrolling down to the bottom, generate. And here you have an overview of how many properties were sold that meet those qualifications. That's why the numbers are so small. Coral Gables, specifically 3 bedrooms, specifically 2 bath, in the city. And you can move through here and see that data. Okay, and then here, you can see maybe what are the most popular months, right, for that sale. Historic sales price trends, generate. Active listings, and then that's average sales price. And as we move through here, year over year, let's move into July 2023. Okay, so that price point does continue to rise. Historic price, historic sales over price range. We've got list price per square feet. I like that one. Right, the price point per square feet. I also like my historic sales price trends. So this is perfect if you want to see your own statistics. Original price versus sold price is also a really, really good one. And this is going to show you, okay, what was that negotiation or what does that look like? So September 2022, $1.9 million is the original price point median compared to that sales price. And then we're looking down in August, right? And all of this helps you put into, I guess, the content of these properties. Once I put it on the market, more or less, what could be the percentage of negotiation that can happen here if I'm working with a buyer? This will also help me more or less, what do you think we can do, or how do you think we can negotiate based on past trends? Now we are still in a seller's market, so very little. Very little. This is a great way to set expectations. Statistics help with that. So it's not just like a gut feeling that you have it in numbers. And this helps your customers. Did you guys like these statistics? Sales price over list price ratios, generate. So if you want to see it as a percentage, that owner, for example, 2023 in July, that owner is receiving 97.8% of what they're asking for. The lowest in 2023 in this specific area, 93.3%, right? So again, great statistics, great ways to create expectations with your customers, very easy to share, either to print or to email. And then you have a sector called My Presets, and you can take this section, so it says Customize, and this is where you create your own. You can pick the time frame that you're interested in, so maybe year to date, but you have year to date in the past 12 months, previous year, 2021 through 2017, past 5 years, past 10 years is as far back as you could go. I'm going to do year to date. And what statistic are you interested in? Active listings and the sales volume, active listings, days on market with the average price point, with the median price point, close price versus list price ratio, days to sell, expired listings, how many of them are there in this area? So I'm going to do expired listings, and I want to group them by month. And again, these are going to be Coral Gables homes because I'm still in the same data. Coral Gables homes, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, generate. And expireds are low, right? From 7, but we're up to 21. So it's possible that these properties are still being listed as if the market hasn't changed from 2 years ago, right? So here you have some of those stats. You can always export this information as a CSV. And once you've customized your own You can go ahead and clear if you want, or you can save it if you're going to use it later. So I'm going to rename this to save search criteria and save as a copy. And that information will be available for you under my presets. All right. And here are those expired Coral Gables 3-2s. Now, if you want to continue to research or create statistics, another option you could do is you can look up your own information. So for example, if you want to, you can add in additional fields. So there's an add remove sector, just like there is in your regular search with fields that you can add in. I like list your sell office, list your sell agent is pretty good too. For you guys, list your sell agent is perfect, clicking on back. And you can create your statistic and then you can pop in your own license number. So you can see what are your own stats and how are you competing in the market. Now, aside from that, if you're interested, you have market reports, and inside of market reports, you have a section that's called agent production report that you can pull. You can put in your start date, your end date, your license number, and then generate that report to see your activity. You may like this. Under market reports, you have another one that I wanted to show you regarding stats, and that's called the Market Conditions 1004 MC report. The 1004 MC report is going to help you determine if those prices are going up in the neighborhood, if they're going down, if they're staying balanced. And I do need at least 30 some properties to get a good sample. So let's do one together. Other tip, the 1004 MC report is also the report that is being used by appraisers to appraise property. So I'm going to uncheck active and active with contract, and I'm going to do closed. I'm going to change closed to 395. Oops, 365. And I'm going to pick my property type, single family. And in the middle, I'm interested in that city of Coral Gables. You could do a zip code. And the bedrooms, I want 3 and 2. So it's showing me similar properties. I'm going to scroll down and generate this report. Again, I'll go over what I did. Active, closed, moved it so that I'm looking at a whole year. Single family, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath is the property type with the Coral Gables city. So I have a nice big sample and I'm going to generate this report. Now look at this. You get the Fannie Mae 1004 statistics and you get to analyze the inventory for the whole year. You're looking at what's happened from 7 to 12 months ago, what's happened in the last 4 to 6 months ago, what's happened in the last 3 months. From here, you get the total number of sales. So these were sold property in the last 7 to 12 months. You're looking at 34 properties. Absorption sale is going to be the total sales divided by month. So you're looking at 5.67 homes that were being sold. That's how fast they're being sold. You have 19 active listings at that time. I'm sorry, the absorption rate, yes, is the 5.67. And then your months of housing supply. So how many properties did you have regarding months of housing supply? So what does that mean? When you're looking at months of housing supply, that means it would take us 3.35 months to sell all of the properties that we currently have listed based on how fast properties were selling at that time. Now below that, then it talks to you about the median sale and list price plus the days on market. So the median comparable sales price, 1,200,000. Days on market, you're looking at 29, and the list price was 1,400,000. Days on market though, 168. So price point was high. Properties were staying much longer on the market until they lowered that price. Either way, consumers are receiving 94.23% of what they're asking for. Median sales price by median list price. Here we have the last 4 to 6 months, and towards the right, we have the last 3 months. In the last 3 months, consumers are receiving in Coral Gables 100.33% of what they're asking for. So the market can change, not just year over year, but within that same year, depending on where. So South Florida, right? So neighborhoods change, even different buildings can give you a whole story. So this is available for you to download and for you to use as a statistic for a presentation with a customer that you can also tie in with your comparables. So me as a seller, I would feel really good about selling a property during this time because consumers or sellers are receiving what they're asking for if listed correctly by the agent. So this is your 1004 MC statistics report, and you can find that market report. We saw your agent productivity, and we have your 1004 MC report that's also available. So I'm going to click on my matrix, and it is 11:30. So thank you so much for being with me. I want to show you one more tip. This is called your hot sheet. This is called your hot sheet, and I think it's a fantastic way to keep abreast about what's happening in your market. So let's say you had this listing. You went out there, we went to 1210 Pizarro Street, we got our listing. I want for you to be able to see what's happening in that market. So here's my recommendation. Go to your hot sheet and click on Customize. I see you guys are staying with me, so thank you so much. And from here, you're going to pick your property type. So you've got single family condo, RE1, RE2. You can click on this and begin to edit, or you can add, right? And you can pick your property type. Either way, you're going to end up in the same place. I'm going to choose this one, and I'm going to rename it. And I'm going to rename it my property. Pizarro Street. And I'm going to save it. So now I have a folder. If I click on this, it's going to give me all of the hot sheets, all of the movement in the MLS. So I need to edit the criteria. I want to know what's happening around this property. So I want to know what's coming soon, what's new, what's back in the market, if they lowered the price, increased the price, something went under contract, canceled, closed, is pending, is terminated, rented, is not here, temporary off the market, withdrawn, expired. Why? Because if there's a change in the market, I want to be the one to inform the seller, not the seller to inform me. How can the seller inform me? Because they live there. So in the same way that when you buy a new car, then you see your car everywhere in the street, if they're selling the home, any movement, a new sign that pops up, we want to be the ones to be able to let them know, right? If it's competing with us, etc. So from here, I'm going to put in the map search, the address. put in little to nothing else because I already know what's happening. This is within 1/4 of a mile. I'm going to do a mile. And then I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to click done. Here's my property. Anything that's happening, I'm going to know about it. I'm going to know about it. And I think that's very important. Even when they lower those prices, okay, they lowered some prices, 0.2%, 14%. I've got different property types here. So maybe I could edit it a little bit. Pizarro. So we're going to customize. Here it is if I want to customize. Edit criteria. Let's do my property, the area. Property type, add, back, scroll down, single family, save. Done. All right, so I want my single families and what's going on there. How else could you do this? What if you're like, Chrissy, I don't have a property yet? Take your hot sheet, customize, but instead of adding Pizarro, I've already used single family, so it's not here. So you click on add, you have another single family, and you do my farming area. Click on save and edit the criteria. Pop in at least your house and know what's going on within your own neighborhood. Okay, get to know your farming area. And with that, guys, this is your Matrix 301 class. An absolute pleasure being with you. I think you guys were fantastic, and I had a lot of fun teaching you about some of the statistics that you have, about creating the CMA and different ways that you can pull that. I know you guys are interested in stats. I do have a recording for you that you may like, and you can find all of the recordings on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/miamitrainers. You have all of your trainers, Connie, Tyson, and I, inputting new classes all of the time. You have Market 201 or Matrix 201 if you want to rewatch that. We have a market statistics and matrix class with RPR and more that you may really enjoy, and working with investors. I'm going to do my best to pop in this class. I think it went very well, so I'm going to try to put that in. And then this afternoon, if you're interested in joining me at 1:30, I'll be talking about inputting a listing. So it's called Add Edit, MLS. And it is part 401. If you need the link, I can share that with you. Let me share with you our YouTube channel. You're welcome. See you soon, guys. I went ahead and put in that link. Happy Monday. See you later. Bye. Thank you for being Miami members.